Hello. I was asked recently to do something on pros and cons about driving containers. I guess this is for either people thinking about going on to container work or trying to get into container work, or new people have just passed their test and what sort of work you want to do, because the haulage industry is as varied as, well, there's lots of different types of haulage work. So I'm just going to talk about class 1, because there's very few class 2 container jobs, very few, because most of it is class 1. I'd say 99.9% of it is class 1 work. But if you're just starting out, I've got to be honest, just go with anything that you can get. Doesn't matter what it is, just get a bit of experience. And unless
half a mile, go right on the roundabout and take the third exit, M27, towards London.
I'll do that. Just take anything you can get, just to get a bit of experience, you know, a bit of time under your belt. You know, you got general haulage, curtain siders, low loaders like that boy up at the front with, you know, with the slew on it. Tipper work, bulk, grainers, tankers. It's just flatbed. There's all sorts of different types of thing, but I got into containers purely and simply because I had a couple of mates work for the company and they got me an in, and that is it. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have even entertained being a truck driver. Might have, but I don't know, who knows. But yeah, so I ended up in containers.
Go right on the roundabout and take the third exit, M27, towards London.
Pretty much by chance, to be fair. One thing about containers is your reversing will get good, because you're always having to back onto a bay or to a dock or into somewhere tight and horrible. Whereas a lot of curtain side of work, if you're just doing trunking and like pallets all the time, it's drive straight in, open the sides up, lift off from the side, and away you go. But container work, to be honest with you, it's a lazy man's job. Well, I think it is. You don't have to strap down a load. You don't have to inspect the load, because you just don't get access to the container. It's got a custom seal on it, so you've got no idea what's in it. You don't. But the downside to that is you don't know how it's been packed, especially your import, because you got no idea how the Chinese man, if it's come from China, has put it in. If it's all boxes, it's usually not an issue because it's rammed from floor to ceiling. But if it's machinery or parts, you know, it could be a lump, offset piece of machinery where all the weight is on one side. And you think, oh, why does that matter? Well, when you go round the roundabout and you've got an offset camber, and you've got all the weight on the inside of the camber, or the outside of the camber, whichever way you want to look at it, but the bit that you're leaning out to, and you've got all the weight over that side, too fast, you're going to tip her over. So you've got to be a bit, like I say, I've got this
M27, then take the motorway.
I've got a new box on now, so I'm just taking it nice and gentle round the roundabouts, because I've got no idea, A, what's inside it, or B, how it's distributed, or even what it is. Once I've done a few, then I'm generally all right, but you still got to take it fairly sensible, because you don't even know if it's strapped in or nailed in. It might just be floating around in there, you know. It might have broken loose whilst it's journey over here on the boat, so you've got no idea really. So always assume that it's not strapped down. I think that's the best way of looking at it. Other than that, you know, you get to your location, they cut the seal, open the doors, job's good, and that's it. That's all you get involved with. And like yesterday, I didn't even have to open the doors. They did it for me. You do go to some weird and wonderful places. You're going to different places all the time. Although, you know, occasionally you go back to the same place. You know, but it's not every day. You know, it might be a week or 2 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks or even 6 months or a year before you go back to the same place again. So it's always different. It's not like a set route. So there's a lot of variation in the job. There's a lot of waiting around. If you get frustrated and bored with that, then this container work isn't for you. You know, definitely not. Because you can be sat on the docks for a couple of hours. It can take anything between half an hour to, I mean, my longest tip has been 9 hours whilst they unloaded out the back. You know, it's you never know.
2 miles, take the exit 4 M27 towards Winchester.
But you just got to prepare yourself. And more heavy armour, look. You know, you just got to prepare yourself, really. Make sure you got book or access to the internet and a tablet, or you know, whatever you use to watch stuff, whether it's your phone or, do you know what I mean? Just food on board and all that malarkey. Come on, keep going. Oh, keep accelerating. You'll never get out doing 40 mile an hour, my little friend. So yeah, the downside is there's a, you know, for those that don't like waiting around and get frustrated with waiting and like to be, you know, punching on all the time.
After half a mile, take the exit.
That's what you got to take into consideration.
Towards Winchester, then take the motorway.
Slightly more dangerous because you're on dockside. You know, you're going onto the docks, which is a dangerous place to be working. So you've got to take that into consideration. It's a bit more dangerous than delivering loaves of bread or pallets, and that's purely and simply because you're around heavy machinery, as in, you know, the straddlers and the cranes. For those that say, oh yeah, what's the chances of, you know, getting a box dropped on you? Well, if you were the unlucky driver that had the box dropped on him in Felixstowe, you know all about it. So it does happen. And it really does. The other side of it is it depends on the company that you work for. And that's I personally, I think that's what it really boils down to. I happen to work for a really, really good company. It's very relaxed, and we just get the job done. You know, you just get the job done to the best you can. And if you're running late, you're running late. It's that simple. You know, this morning, I had road closures and all sorts to take into consideration, and the extra 1 hour wiggle time I used up.
After 1.2 miles, keep right.
So you know, and so I told them I'm going to be late for this delivery. Oh yeah, okay, no worries. You know, because you can't help it. You know, you try your hardest to be somewhere, but you haven't got someone on the phone to you going, where are you, why aren't you there, why can't you get there? It's only like 2 finger whips on the map. Yeah, you know, there's none of that. So again, it really depends on the company you work for, and that's across the whole haulage industry. You know, there are some right arses out there to work for, and there's just no need for it. But containers on a whole,
After half a mile, keep
I like.
right.
I wouldn't go to general haulage, flatbed work, you know, strapping everything down when it's pissing down with rain, curtain siders, windy, strapping stuff down, getting wet and horrible. No thank you. Fridge units, having a fridge running your ear all night, no thank you. The only way that I would consider that if I was doing some European runs and the views and the travelling around Europe would offset
M3 towards Winchester.
Would offset the fact that I've got a fridge rumbling away way behind me. That's not to say that you don't get fridge, you get reefer units on containers. And those gen sets that we have put on that are just dogs. They're enough to wake the dead. I'm sure rumbling away they set off the Richter scale. They're bloody horrible. You don't need to stir your tea, you just put it down the side and it'll vibrate that much that it'll fucking stir itself. So for me, I think even if I'd gone on to something else, I might have gravitated towards containers. Not that it's that easy to get into, I don't think. Not entirely sure on that. You got to, you know, everywhere you go, you got to sit exams. You know, you got to have different cards for getting on different docks. I mean, they're all dead easy. I mean, there's nothing difficult about any of them, and a lot of them are just tick boxes sort of thing. But, so there's all that malarkey. Whereas in general haulage, you don't have to tend to do too much of that. But I like containers, I must admit. It's clean work. You're not getting covered in. You're not going to a dirty, shitty construction site and having to load a JCB on the back that's covered in shit. You know, you don't get dirty. You don't get oily. The only time you might get a bit damp if you've got to shrink the trailer down. That's about it, really. Or extend it, one or the other, or both. You know, that's the only time you can get wet. But you can get delayed, so you can never guarantee. You know, if you're wanting to be, you can never guarantee to be home. Come on then, don't stay the same speed as me. There you go. You know, you can. You know, if you're a day man. And the other side of it is that very few container drivers are daymen. The vast majority are trampers like myself. You know, leave home on a Sunday night or a Monday morning, and you get home on a Friday night or the Saturday morning, one or the other. That's the way it is. You know, it really is a tramping purely simply because of the distances that you have to travel. You might be lucky and get a local job, but the vast majority of them are a good 2-3 hours away. And by the time you've added in a 3 or 4 hour tip, then a 3 or 4 hour journey back, you're getting a bit close on time. And you've got to factor into you know, you might be on the docks or either leaving the docks or going onto the docks. You know, I started work at 2 o'clock. Look at the size of that helicopter. I started work at 2 o'clock this morning. I've already done 7 hours and it's not even 9 o'clock. Well, nearly 9 o'clock, I'll have done 7 hours. You know, that's a fair chunk of your day, and I've already driven 4 hours 40. So the day the day flies by. And it's not multi-drop either, which I just wouldn't even entertain that. Pallet here, pallet there, that'd do my head in. You know, very often it's one job. You know, you go out with a full container and you come back with an empty one, or you go out with an empty one and come back with a full one if you're loading. Sometimes you get a reload. Yeah, it goes through stages, you know. There have been weeks when I've done every day's been a reload, but I can't remember. It's been 2 or 3 weeks now since I've last done a reload. So you never know, really. You never know. So container work for me is where it's at. I enjoy the work. So up ahead we've got a container there, 40-foot high cube. You can tell it's a high cube because it's not quite square. It's just a little higher. Hence a high cube. I've got one coming up behind me which is just a standard 40-foot. Oh, I think it's a 40. Can't see. Wait until he gets by me. Yeah, this is. I don't know. No, there's another high cube. You can generally tell the high cubes 2 ways. A, they look a little higher, and they're not a perfect square. And the high cubes tend to have that black and yellow tape on the top. I've just got a 40-foot standard on mine and no tape. Now you've got a couple of little works units. I think, there might be just 20 footers. I'll have a look as they go by here. But some containers are converted. That looks like two 20-footers there. He's making a meal of that. Let him get by. So he's got a 220s on the back of that. And he's got a 40-foot standard. You can tell, A, it hasn't got the yellow and black markers on the top, and it's just a perfect square though. He's also got a splitter trailer, which means
2 miles, take the exit 9E05 towards Newbury.
So a splitter trailer is a trailer that splits in two. So you can have 2 20-foot boxes on. You can split the trailer in 2 and leave one box on its trailer and somewhere else while you go and empty the other one, or load the other one. Then you can hook the trailer back together again, and it looks like it's one trailer. Also get in this country 45-foot boxes, and I think the odd occasion you get a 30-foot one, but I've pulled a few 45s, but I've never pulled a 30.
Take the exit 9E05 towards Newbury, then cross the roundabout and take the second exit A34.
In America you get 53-foot boxes.
Take the exit 9, then cross the roundabout and take the second exit.
Don't know why I bothered indicating it. So that's a little bit of a rundown, I guess, on container work. It's very straightforward once you know what you're doing. It's like anything, innit?
After a quarter of a mile, cross the roundabout and take the second exit A34 towards Newbury.
Oh, let's see if this Gold Star boy, the one on the left, is in the correct lane. If he's going left, that's good. If he's not, he's cocked that right up.
The second exit.
He is, he's going to cause. No, he's going round. Where's he gone? No, he has gone off, that's good.
Take the exit A34, Winchester bypass.
So the docks can be a little daunting. Always best to try.
3/4 of a mile, keep left.
And see if you can go with somebody the first couple of times on the docks. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science, but you know, it's easy to get lost and easy to get it wrong. And you really don't want to be getting it wrong on the docks.
After half a mile, keep left.
So yeah, they take a little bit of getting used to. Oh, yawning. Until I've been up since 1:30. Trying to think what else I can tell you. If anyone's got any questions, you just leave a comment, and I'll try and ask you. But as far as I'm concerned, container work is pretty straightforward.
Follow A34 towards Newbury for 28 miles.
Box on, box off. You lock it on and off with four pins, 4 twist locks in each corner of the box. And as long as they're secured, you're home and dry. Just take it steady. Would I recommend it? Yeah, definitely. But again, for the right company, you know, working with the right company. Oh, somebody's mud guard. Yeah, working for the. Jeez, bump's getting worse. Working for the right company. That's the imperative thing. I mean, I'm lucky. I've landed on my feet here. It's a good company. They do. You know, there's a few things they could do better, but most of the time, yeah, take the rough for the smooth. But you know, 90% of it is good. 95% of it is good. Yeah, there's always room for improvement. Doesn't matter what you do, is it? You know. But on a whole, yeah. It's nice that you just get left alone to get on and do the job. You know, just crack on, do as best as you can. They know that, and that's all they ask of you. And if you prove that you can do that, you just get left alone. I know, talking to some of the planners, that I know there's a couple of boys that take the piss a bit, and they don't get the best of jobs. They get some pretty shitty work to do. So you know, if you take the piss, then it sort of becomes fairly evident fairly quickly. Right, so yeah, container work. Leave me a message if you need any questions answering, or you're thinking of doing it, or you know, anything like that. I'm not an expert by any way, shape or form. I never profess to be. That's why I don't do like educational videos really, because there's better people out there, more qualified than I am, doing it for a lot longer. And that's not what it's all about. That's not what I'm all about either. But happy to pass on what I know, whether it's right or not. Most of it is, as far as I'm aware. I like to have my facts straight before I go spouting off. And for those that have been following me for a little while now, know that, you know, what I say is with the best intentions. I'm trying to work out, I don't know if you can see to the left what they're doing in it. I think they're planting trees, but I can't guarantee it. If so, it's like they just planted a forest. I really don't know. Bizarre. So they've got work huts and everything in there. I'm quite sure what they're doing. I saw a couple of Russian trucks on the road yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah. A couple of Russian lads. wondering how they've been faring. Hard to say in light of everything that's going on at the moment. So anyway, that was about containers. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll speak to you all later.